This week on your old school RuneScape update, Scurrius the Rat King brings XP for seasoned PvMers and teaches old school RuneScape PvM. We discuss its mechanics, drops, XP rates, and what makes it a good boss experience. Also this week, quest speedrunning, agility goals, and reliving One Small Favour. This is the Old School RuneScape Update, Episode 12, recorded Saturday, January 27th, 2024. Fast and Scurrius. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Old School RuneScape Update. Cireon and myself are here as we are each and every week, and this week, as has become tradition with us, going back in time, doing quests that we remember one way and experience a different way, right?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
And then some turn out to be better than others, but we'll share which ones were better and which ones were worse a little bit later in the podcast. But of course, we're here, amongst other things, to go through the Old School RuneScape update of the week. If you want to follow along, we have the full show notes at update.show/OS. You can find us in-game at Friends Chat BitsBytes. And, of course, the community Discord is at update.show/Discord. You can find me in-game at Shane12088, and Cireon is at Cireon spelt with a C. All right. I think that's probably one of my quickest pre-rolls that we've done for this show without too much lollygagging along the road.
Oh, no. I need to mesh you up again. Take you out of the flow next week.
Yeah, and the best way of doing that is getting some other form of content in and what have you. But this week we're greeted with Scurrius the Rat King, a new introductory PvM boss and a source of combat XP that people are really enjoying. And where do you want to start with this? Because I just listed a bunch of things in our show rundown, but I'm okay with starting on either plank of it.
I mean, I know you were. This was in your top 3 announcements.
Of the things I was looking forward to. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I am always about, and you can extrapolate this across both versions of RuneScape. I'm always about updates that make it easier for people to get into PvM, lower the barriers to PvM, and provide good teachable moments for that. And I wasn't exactly sure what we'd be walking into when Scurrius arrived in terms of how that would go in terms of teaching, because obviously when you look at old school PvM, you have your hallmarks of the things that people will always go to and say, this is the pinnacle of old school PvM. It's the raids, it's next, so on and so forth. And the question is, how do you get there from somebody who is just walking around and does Slayer, right? Or even just, camping a specific creature. And I think Scurrius is a step in that direction, specifically when you start looking at the mechanics of this boss. And we'll get into the drops and what higher level folks can use Scurrius for in a wee bit later on the show. But mechanic-wise, I think that's something that I actually walked away from this boss appreciating, because I'm typically not somebody who jumps up and down when it's time to go PvM in OSRS. I don't jump up and down for that. Not yet, at least.
Understatement. Yeah. Go on.
Okay, that's the understatement of the week. Got it. Okay, do you look forward to old school PvM?
No, I don't look forward to PvM, but I don't start complaining about it like you do.
Right, and see, you didn't hear me complaining about Scurrius at all this week, I don't think.
No, I didn't. No.
And the interesting reason for that is that after a few kills and after reading the news post, and even if you want to take it to the highest level, reading the wiki page after the fact, it becomes quite clear what you have to do. And what this boss is designed to do, it's designed to teach movement and prayer switching in game. particularly because there's 3 different attack styles. Scurrius spins around and hits you with his tail. That's a melee attack. He launches blue lightning bolts at you. That's the magic attack. And the thing that I dread the most, and I would dread the most in real life, is he throws rotten cheese at you, and that's the ranged attack.
Oh, I thought it was like spit or something.
No, it's cheese. It's cheese.
Okay, it's
cheese.
It's cheese.
All
right. Yeah.
So
lactose intolerant people be like, get like an extra penalty.
Yeah, and for people who aren't aware, Cireon is Dutch, and you guys are of course world famous for your cheese, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. There's a bit of a difference there, but I digress.
Did you look up the mechanics before you did the first fight? Like I did. I read through it.
I did too, because there's one thing I don't like, and that's banging my head against the wall. And to be fair, is what I have seen in terms of, just making the fight simpler to a degree, says, just use Protect from melee for, the first 2/3 of the fight. And then after that, when he starts attacking faster and changing styles, that's when you can consider starting to prayer switch if you just want a bit of an easier time. But if you want to take 0 damage whatsoever, and I did this intentionally for one of my kills, I did one of the kills without food by playing the mechanics, not getting landed on by any of the rocks that fall. That's the other mechanic that teaches movement, is that periodically rocks will fall from the ceiling. And that, combined with prayer switching, led me to a kill where I think I only used, 1 or 2 pieces of food. So it is possible.
It's like just going back to the mechanics, I looked them up, but when I did the first fight, I was like, I don't think I had to.
No,
because it's
something you can brute force.
Yeah, like you can sight read, like sight hill. This this is concept of sight reading in music, and sometimes it's also used for games where you can play a game without play through it first time. This is one of those cases, I think, where you don't really need to orient yourself. You just go in, follow up. That's it, right? You just make sure you bring your prayer potions and your food.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like ignoring mechanics, I found, like, I try and be like the good boy that follows all the mechanics, but that to me also, like, that meant prayer switching, but also when he summons the rats, it's killing all of those rats because they can actually hit through prayer, and they make it really hard to sort of, like, you're both switching prayers against like the magic and ranged attack, but at the same time you're being hit quite hard by the melee attacks of the rats.
Yeah.
So
and you do want to kill those rats because they, pretty much die in one hit, and all the XP you get in there is it's multiplied by some amount. I forget what the exact multiplier is.
Yeah, exactly. The problem I've had with it is if I do that, like, I find it really hard to out DPS the healing of the boss itself. That's been my problem with it, right? Like, in the time it takes me to run around and kill all of those rats.
Yeah. Fair.
The boss has healed up a bunch.
And to be fair, you're working with a whip. You were using a whip for that, right? At the time. Okay.
So I've since experimented a little bit where I brought rune knives as a switch, and it's definitely faster to kill the rats that way. You get ranged XP now all of a sudden, but let's not talk about the XP for the moment. It speeds it up a little bit, but I don't know. Like, it feels a little bit funky. My main, like, I don't mind so much the fight taking longer, but I am so conscious that I am burning through resources and supplies.
And let's not forget that prayer potions are kind of expensive.
For someone of our level.
And for, like, what you're getting out of this boss, doesn't make sense to put that into prayer potions at this level, Ben. And
you get almost no loot out of this boss, right? Like, it's not a moneymaker.
Right, and that's fine, I think.
No, exactly. It's that, but, like, all in all, I found it a little bit weird that what I found as the best way to kill this boss is to ignore the prayer switching, ignore the rats, just play melee and eat your way to the ranged and magic attacks. And I'm wearing melee armor, so the ranged attacks barely hit. It's only the magic ones I really need to worry about, and it's not super accurate.
No.
And now, now the
to be
boss
fair,
suddenly
we're
loses
dealing.
most-
What's your attack level? And you were using
70.
So 70. Okay.
Yeah, which is like they say 60s for this boss,
Right.
Like should be reasonable. So I'm already 10 levels above that. But like now I have basically made myself into a boss fight where I'm ignoring all the mechanics except for walking away from collapsing ceilings.
Right, and at that point, I have to say to you, welcome to RuneScape PvM. Both games.
I find it a little bit too quick to say that. Like, there are bosses in old school, like, you've done some Zora on Leagues.
Yeah, which I
ignore the
actually,
mechanics.
which, so far, and, people might disagree with this, favorite boss fight that I've done in OSRS. I've done all the Tyrannid ones. I've done the God Wars ones.
Yeah.
Favorite ones so far.
Like, you can't ignore those mechanics. Same with Hunlef in the Gauntlet. You can't ignore the mechanics.
Yeah.
Right? You will die very much if you do that.
And you know what? And you mentioned the Gauntlet, and I actually want to bring that up because this was actually giving me Gauntlet vibes, as if this was almost a lower leveled version of that fight, because that fight is kind of the same thing in that it's a focus on prayer switching and movement, except at the very, very high end of the spectrum, whereas this is at the beginning of the spectrum.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, like I like it. I feel a little bit like I'm under-leveled. Like I said, I feel I am burning through too many supplies doing this boss because I miss half my attacks, it feels like. I don't have the spine, so my max hit isn't great. So it feels bad to do this boss for me because it feels wasteful with how long this boss fight is taking.
Yeah. And that's the most interesting thing to me about this is that they marketed it at the 60 band, which, I mean, you can definitely kill it in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And you know what I'm thinking is their idea behind this is that maybe for people in the 60s, the best thing to do is actually mask the boss, because the Scurrius spine is still on the non-MVP drop table.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Did you try any kills with other people?
No, I did not. Okay. And that's a very good point. I blanked on that was even a possibility. Yeah, no, especially if you can do this with, like, if you're an Iron Man, you can't.
No.
But, like, I guess, if you want to do it with friends, you can do it.
And see, that's the thing. The HP actually scales a bit too if you go in with other people in terms of what's around, and it's actually not a bad combat experience if you just go in and do it with the random people who are there. I was in there doing it with a bunch of people north of 100 plus, and I actually looked up the drop table on this, and it's like, wow, okay, even I'm going to be out DPS'd by these guys, but I can still roll for Scurrius' spine. And if there's going to be these people in here who are going to be doing that kind of DPS, and I can just, carry my way a bit, maybe this is the way for me to be doing this boss if I'm in the 60s.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yeah.
And what was interesting...
I think all in all...
Go ahead.
I think all in all, like, it's not a badly designed bot. Like, you can do it at level 60, just fine. You just need to spend some resources. I think it's harder, for example, than Hespori, which that's in terms of mechanics a little bit simpler, and I think you can do it maybe even at a slightly lower level still.
Yeah, because Hespori is weak to slash, and I think your best course of action there is a Dragon Scimitar or Dragon Long, right?
Or an Abyssal Whip. Exactly. That helps. You have that weakness going, and the mechanics are just like a little bit simpler as well. But it all in all, it's successful. I just can't quite find the flow with it. I can't quite find the fun with it. So I
You know
doubt
what we
I'll
should have
be.
done? We should have done it and see how that went.
Yeah, we should have. I don't see myself going back there and camping it soon.
No, and that gets into, you know, the XP, which I think we'll do for our third point, because I know people who are camping this and who are able to rinse and repeat and are enjoying those XP rates, but higher up than us in terms of level. So, what about the drops? I mean, you mentioned the drop table. It's nothing to write home about, right? But
no, and
go ahead. I was just gonna.
I mean, purposefully so, right? Like, if this was also a really high drop table, like everybody would be camping this, and I think.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It comes down to the rat spine.
Yeah, which it like the nice thing about the rat spine is that, you know, it's not relevant outside of the boss, so it doesn't contribute to power creep. It just makes you do that particular content more efficiently, which it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. It creates a bone mace, which, you know, let's be honest, is a rune flail. Has the same stats of the dragon mace. And the thing about these is that it removes the delay on attacking when you attack the rats, which is, like you said, something you switch to rune knives for, so that would be interesting to play around with. And it also increases your max hit by 10. So looking into the way I was set up with a dragon mace, the Nezi helm, and just standard rune armor. Prayers and potion, my max hit would have been about 20. But the bone mace also increases your max hit by 10. So that takes it up to 30. And keep in mind, if you have an abyssal whip and you run kind of the same configuration, your max hit would be about 24 or so. So even if you have a whip, you're still going to be better off using the bone mace at a higher attack and strength level, if that makes sense. Even though this is a level 50 weapon, if that makes sense. And that's the thing I think that is in addition to teaching PvM at this boss, is the story about this, is that this is, like you said, a series of weapons that's made and designed specifically for this boss. And my question I have is, at what level would you stop using a bone mace, the bone short bow, or the bone staff, and move on to using something else, just because you can just, you know, utterly obliterate the thing? And I think based on the numbers here, it doesn't look like it's at 70. It might be, you know, closer to 75.
No, I think you know, there's like, I've seen some people, was it like the Venator bow or something like that, which has like an AoE attack for the rats, right? Like, there's a few use cases where maybe the other things are useful, but my thinking is that well, my expectation is that maybe there are better weapons out there. Like, you can use the scythe if you want to. The thing is, at that point, you're just looking into degradable weapons, right? And you're going to have an upkeep cost.
Right.
The question is that ever going to be worth it? Like, are you ever going to get that much more out of it? Like, I think the rat-specific weapons for all styles probably out DPS all the other non-degradable weapons.
Yeah. That's actually probably a good way of looking at it, because when you start looking at degradable, you start seeing degradables at around 70. Yeah. And, you know, I also have to say, I am glad, and this is something I complain about in games and something I always like to highlight. Folks might not be aware, but in the past I've also played Elder Scrolls Online and have very much championed their drop system, in that it doesn't make it too hard to, you know, find the goodies at the end of the day. And the Scurrius Spine drop rate is only 1 in 33. So it's not obscenely rare.
No.
Which I like. So, you know, you spend enough time here, you're going to be able to get the spine for whatever weapon types that you want. And, when you start to tee all these things together, the mechanics, the drops, the drop tables, and how everything is working with this boss, I think this is a very well designed piece of content. And I have almost no complaints with it. And, before we kind of, move away from Scurrius, I think we should talk about the XP rates here and our experiences on that, because I am not comfortable at this point moving away from crabs for my combat XP. You?
No, I don't think so. The thing is, I don't like combat enough for me to want to spend my play sessions just actively sitting there. Like I would rather put up my phone on like my mobile stand at my work desk and just go in and out of aggro range every now and then, and just that's it. It's slow, but I can do it while doing other things, so I don't see myself changing that. I think my one criticism of this boss is I feel it's a little bit too random in the fight. Like sometimes I get lucky, I get almost no rat spawns, sometimes I just get them endlessly, and I feel there's a lot of RNG involved in how quick I am going to get a boss kill in. That I dislike slightly about this boss. Like it all feels just a little bit too random and unpredictable. But in terms of the actual mechanics and the balancing, it's pretty on point.
Yeah, I wonder, can he be stunned?
No idea. I doubt it.
Because that would be interesting. If you could just, cast Entangle or something in the middle and hold them in place.
Doubt it.
Yeah, that would probably kind of defeat the purpose of it. So, but yeah. Overall, though, like I said, well-designed systems behind it, and something I think that for somebody like myself who almost has no interest in doing PvM, if it can go in and make me interested in that, I think that's a good thing at the end of the day. So, and I'm not ruling anything out. It's just based on my experiences that I had in League, that I don't know if I'm gonna go chasing the raids and all the high level bosses that are in game. It might be fun to do one day, but I'm not putting the cart before the horse.
Elite combat achievements when.
The sound of that. No, definitely not. Definitely.
Oh, but you like doing prescribed tasks so much in the game.
I'll talk about that when I'm up. What have you been doing this week? You mentioned you had a secret project.
Yeah, I did have a secret project. Oh, I actually had a secret project last weekend. So I've kept it secret all this time because I didn't want to talk about it during the Winter Summit episode.
We're a busy show.
Honestly, I've been doing so many things. Like, I could sit here for half an hour talking about all the little things left and right. I've been doing, I've been the impersonation of ADD, I feel, like, when it comes to RuneScape. Just completely unfocused, chasing goals left and right. But, I enjoy it. It's almost very Leagues-like, right? Just setting yourself a little goal, doing that, moving on to the next thing. But if I had to summarize it as a single effort, it's gear upgrades. I've been buying a bunch of gear upgrades for my combat, but I'm also going after some skilling outfits.
Oh, that explains the dragon pickaxe.
Dragon pickaxe, dragon axe. I got the levels for that. I don't think I've ever really had those before they changed graphic style in RS3. So
I don't think they came out looking how they do now, to be honest. So it's definitely interesting seeing them that way.
Yeah, exactly. So I felt really good about that. I've done some Guardians of the Rift, working on getting some Abyssal Pearls there for the outfit. mining, for the prospector outfit, carpenter's outfit, you name it, I'm going for it. But also one of the things that you've probably seen me run around in a lot because it's so useful is graceful, right?
Yes.
Graceful outfit.
Did you finish it?
No, I didn't finish it. But everybody walks around in the same color of graceful outfit. So I knew from the get-go I wanted to get one particular cosmetic override for graceful.
All right.
I wanted the adventurous override.
How do you do that?
And the only way you can get the adventurous override is by speedrunning quests.
Oh my. Oh God.
Yes. So, last weekend, I set my sense to it, and I spent the entire afternoon optimizing a bunch of quests and getting the points. Overall, it wasn't so bad, actually. I got more points for the quest than I expected to, so actually I was done much quicker than I thought. But it was a mixture of fun and frustration. To be honest.
Well, to be fair, that is kind of your style of gameplay because you have done, randomizer streams before and you've played games like that before, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Some of the quests were like Cook's Assistant. I got that
Easy.
platinum first try. Ernest the Chicken I had to do twice because I messed up like the levers in the basement once, so I had to do that again. I had to do a Below House Mountain. I had to restart like 4 times to get it.
Oh my! And to be fair, quest speed running are done on instance worlds. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you can in effect get the items and whatnot in place before you go. Hence why it would be easy to platinum Cook's Assistant.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically you set up a quest which teleports you to the start, gives you like a particular inventory and a particular set of levels, and that's what you got to do it with. So you get like a bunch of stamina potions, energy potions, usually a few pieces of fish to heal, and that's what you do. So I focused mostly on the very short quests, so they're up to 20 minutes. Some are really easy. Temple of the Eye is like super lenient. I made a bunch of pretty big mistakes and still got platinum on that one, but others are tough. Like Demon Slayer, I just abandoned at some point. You need to world hop between speedrunning worlds to get the unnoted bones. You need to be really lucky with the aggro of the dark mages. I just gave up on that one. But yeah, I got my adventurous outfit tier 3 after doing a bunch of questing. I'm so pleased with it. I'm so chuffed.
Nice. Hey, here's something to work towards. You can speedrun Dragon Slayer 1 for Diamond in 16 minutes. Or later on, Dragon Slayer 2 in an hour.
Yeah. So, the quests, basically the diamond times, I've not got diamond on anything. If you want to start doing the diamond types, you need to do things like tick manipulation, use alt accounts to keep shopkeepers as close to the door as possible. You need to have basically tile perfect pathing, right?
Yeah.
You need to go and pre-kill a monster so it has 1 hit point left so that when you come back, you can one-hit it. Like, all that stuff you need to do to get diamond rank. No. But, if you're interested in the outfit, doing the short and very short quests, just keep the wiki guides, their special speedrunning guides open, just follow the steps. Probably you want to do the quest once as sort of an orientation, and then twice. You can usually do it much quicker.
Yeah.
And platinum is pretty achievable on most of them. Like the ones I had the most trouble with was, like I said, Demon Slayer, because it had a lot of RNG, and Prince Ali Rescue, because, oh my god, when you do the quest on the main world, you just buy the items of the GE, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have access to the GE, so you need to find all the particular items. And I found every time I got to a certain point in the quest, I had forgotten, like, one tiny thing, like pick 2 onions from this field, or like buy a rope from net, or pick up a die. Like all these tiny things you needed to remember, and that's that kept tripping me up. So I think I got only like silver or gold on that in the end. But
Dragon Slayer 1 in the cards?
no, I got the outfit. I'm done, right? Like I could get the teleport animation. That's the one thing I would get still, I think, but I'm done.
And
I'm not touching it
could
for a
just go
while.
back, to say you did it too.
Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
it was like an afternoon of work. That was my secret project.
Okay, that's an interesting surprise.
When we did questing this morning, right, I was like, I can't wear my graceful outfit because he will notice.
There's a chance.
Graceful.
There's a chance I wouldn't have noticed. I don't really pay attention to what people are wearing in game, unless it would be something extravagant with bright colors and floating particles. But that's not this game. So
yeah, I need to finish the graceful outfit now so I can wear the cape and the boots. But yeah, no, that was fun. It was my little secret project, and I felt very proud of myself for completing it.
Right on. Good. Well, I don't have anything that's going to top that this week because,
You let me go first. It's your own fault. You let me go first.
Because really all I've been doing is just, rounding out a few skills along the way. I got 50 ranged, for example. I figured it was about time to do that.
Well, 57 by now, but yeah, same.
Because, what that gives you is the upgraded Avis device, which is part of, dare I say it, the medium Lumbridge and Drainer achievement diary set, which gives you the Explorer Ring teleports, which...
It's also your best in slot ranged item until you can kill Vorkath, so... Yeah.
Which, let's be real, that's a long ways away. And I honestly don't know. Like, I get the utility and I get the goodies that come from the task sets. But, oh my god, it was literally probably only 45 minutes of just, finishing off like 7 or 9 tasks on here. And they were relatively simple, but by the time I was finished, I was just done with that, and I'm not ready to see another task set for a long time. So I think I just have to do these things organically until I'm 1 or 2 tasks away from it. Then I could just go and complete it, because it just hurts me too much for some reason. I don't know exactly why. I get the utility that comes from it, but yikes. But
I try and do like every now and then I'm just in the game. I'm like, I don't know what to do right now. I tend to just pick up like 1 or 2 achievement diary tasks I can do in the moment. Like the other day, I was doing some farming contracts. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy a few extra seeds. I'm gonna get like 3 farming tasks out of the way, like check a palm tree, pay for a magic tree, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think if you do that, like at some point you're 1 or 2 tasks away, like you said, and you just knock it out.
Yeah. And see, that's the way it's got to be. Honestly, like, to give you an example, right now, if I look at Karamja, that's the one that comes next time. 1, 2, 3, 4 tasks away from completing the easies on that. So I mean, that's something.
Oh, easy. Oh, okay.
So that's something I could do relatively easily, and it's going to be the same sort of thing as the mediums and hards progress for all of those. Is that it's just going to have to be over time. But I do get the utility that's there, and I do see the achievement style of gameplay, and we might just be a little too fresh off of leagues for me to be wanting to chase a gameplay moment like that. So that's why I'm feeling
and here I was going to do quest speed runs instead.
We're really two opposites in this regard here.
Mm-hmm.
Because you would absolutely do that, and I just want to plonk myself down somewhere and grind.
Fair enough.
And dare I say it, the next thing that's happening is agility.
good. You need to start getting the graceful outfit.
I do.
So I can stop making fun out of you doing quests, running half across the world. No, sorry, walking half across the world because you wear full rune armor.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. And that's one thing that I'd like to see come in at some point, is just a different way of managing agility and run energy. And we'll see how obtuse and extreme it is once I get the graceful outfit. How does it feel right now for you?
It feels alright, honestly. Like,
okay.
most times I don't, like, the only times I run out of run energy is like during quests, right, where you're running a lot, like the long caves and all that stuff. But farming runs, I have no problem with it. Birdhouse runs, same thing. Like, the distances are not long enough to be problematic. It helps that I have a revitalization pool in my house, so I try to be smart, and because my house is in Osidious, I can try and root that in so that I can take a sip of
recharge there.
But realistically, I don't need it.
Yeah. There's also the Arceus spellbook power that converts your prayer points to run energy.
Yeah.
Which is something that I think you could also work in with.
You could also,
with
now that you have the Explorer's Ring, you can use that to restore like a bunch of energy a few times a day.
Yeah. Okay. So these sorts of things add up, and it's just a question of building the tool set. And dare I say it here, we're seeing a bunch of these come from the task sets. But
I mean, the nice thing about the graceful set, right, is it reduces your weight, but reducing your weight below 0 has no effect.
Correct.
The effect that you get out of graceful is that it actually increases your run energy recharge rate as well. Not by much, but it does.
But it's noticeable. It's noticeable.
One thing I did realize, so in quest speedruns, you get stamina potions. Okay. And they're great. They give you 20% run energy back and then reduce your drain by 70%. You can run forever with those. So I was like, I need to get myself some of those in the main game. And I looked at them and they're 11k each.
And that's interesting, because I forget what episode we were on. But there's a comment on YouTube by Dan from Clan Quest on that episode that specifically mentioned the stamina potions being, designed to sit in that area of gameplay. And I'm wondering why the both of us never really looked into these before. Is it because they have a high herb lore requirement, or what?
The ingredient you need to make them, you buy from graceful tickets. And we currently have better things to spend on graceful tickets.
Hey, here's an idea. I'll become a herb lore and agility peer and make bank by making stamina potions.
Well, there you go. Yes, you can do that.
Forget the untrimmed farming cape. I'm going to get untrimmed agility.
I'd like to see you try. And then you can get what is it, I think 150 agility arena tickets, and you can recolor your graceful into agility cape colors, and you have the best fashion scape.
That actually doesn't sound too bad.
Oh my goodness. You do you. One thing I do want to add, the stamina potions, I was looking into it, they're 11k each, but they have tripled in price sometime during the past year. They went up vertically. I need to figure out what happened there. Because...
Let us know in the comments if you know.
Yeah.
Because that's an interesting thing. We haven't been around long enough to notice that.
Yeah, they have gone up. Let me enlarge this card over the last year. Yeah, around July, they just shot up. Well, okay, I lied. They've always been expensive. So a year ago, a 4-dose potion was 6.5k. Today, it's 11k. So,
that's still an appreciable increase.
Yeah, exactly.
the last thing I want to say that I did is I started my farming contracts. I know I've been leaving farming off to the side for a bit, which is
Pain.
not me, but it's time to begin with that. And the reason to start doing that again was that I have the magic level now for Trollheim teleport, and it's just easier to get around. So look for more gains in farming as we progress through.
I'm still I'm really close to getting the teleport, but I'm gonna skip it. I think I do my herb runs on mobile, and all my patches are really close to teleports right now. But the Trollheim one is quite a run
Well,
away.
what you got to do for that is you got to get Fremenic Hard done and get 74 agility for that shortcut.
Yeah, well, let's hurry up with the quests then that we have to do to get Fremenic Hard done, which I think probably includes Lunar Diplomacy.
Yeah, and I was actually looking at this week and very thankful there's no livid farm in this game, but that's a topic for another day. What do we? Speaking of questing, what have we should fill the listeners in on where we've been with our questing, specifically the old ones. Do you want to start with last week's? Or do you want to start with this week's first?
Let's start with last week's.
Okay. One Small Favour.
I didn't hate it.
No, and I think what this comes down to is that back in the day when this quest came out, I did it without a guide.
Yeah, it's one of those, if you do it without a guide, I can see why it's annoying, but even then, the items you need for this quest are really, even as an Iron Man, I don't think I would have big...
No, they're relatively simple, and really all you need is the item list and the route to take, and then you just unwind that and go backwards. Your biggest piece of problem was that you kept crushing gems.
I kept crushing my gems. I had really bad luck on those, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I actually had all those pre-cut because of attempting to gem mine as soon as I unlocked Shallow Village. So I had a bunch of those in stock. Mm-hmm. And I wanted that quest because of the key ring, but also because of the 10,000 XP lamp, which was for Slayer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, like I said, when it came out and for a long time after that, I think a lot of people hated the quest, right? It always... Last week we talked about how Gothic Sleep was half the people was their favorite quest. One Small Favour is half the people dislike that quest a lot.
No, but there's other quests to dislike.
I think it's humorous, right? I think it's a really good demonstration of the writing style and comedy style that RuneScape has. It flows. And
you know what it also
other.
Does is it makes fun of fetch quests in other games.
Yeah, it does that too. It shows you the world, right? It almost forces you to walk around most of it. It ties a whole bunch of things together.
Because there's really only a few teleports and whatnot you can use at the beginning and the end. It's far more efficient to walk the middle of the route.
Yeah, no, I agree. All in all, I don't know. There's not much to hate about it.
Which begs the question, where does the hate come from?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I understand. I think a lot of quests get faster if you use a guide, and One Small Favour does get faster, but it's a long-ish quest, right? And I can see why people who are not into the actual questing as much might dislike it for that reason, but I don't know. There's no lore in it, sure. Not much, at least, but...
It's like a fun Sunday afternoon adventure.
Yeah.
That's the best way of putting it. But speaking of things we didn't like, Family Crest.
Yeah, it was fine, but the mining bit was jank. We found out that the levers you need to pull and push and whatever, the state was shared between the two of us. You had to hop worlds because we kept messing up each other's state. And then ran into trouble with the Hellhounds trying to mine the gold. I was not having a good time.
Yeah, it took you a number of tries to mine the gold, and this is classic RNG. I walk in there and I just smash the perfect gold twice, once on each rock, and get my 2 pieces of perfected gold ore. And well,
So much for my shiny new dragon pickaxe.
yeah,
Didn't
I was
help.
using rune in level 51, whereas you were using dragon in who knows what level.
61. Yeah.
But, you know, Family Crest is definitely a quest you need to do, because those gauntlets are just so wonderful when it comes to the cooking side of it, but also the goldsmithing side of it, too. So
Yeah, smithing is my lowest skill right now, so I want to do goldsmithing, and then now I've decided to not actually do goldsmithing anyway. But,
blast furnace?
no, Giant's Foundry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. That's a nice, you know, unique piece of modern OSRS content.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Then, of course, there was the Temple of Ikov.
Classic. Literally classic.
Yeah, 2002. And, you know, the lore ramifications of this quest, helping somebody you don't know that is a Majrat, it's this level of mysterious around people like Lucien and whatnot that really drew me into the Majrat storyline, and I still felt that even now going into this, so it makes me even more interested to replay Desert Treasure 1, see where, you know, things like Secrets of the North and Desert Treasure 2 go with this. So granted, yes, a classic quest and a fun introduction to one of our Majrat friends, but you know, another case of RNG with this in terms of looking for the ice arrows, which
I mean,
that's
that's honestly the worst part of the quest, and we power through it. Other than that, the quest is remarkably fine for how old it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I sided with Lucien. You did not.
No, I am no big fan of Armadillo, but I'm not gonna give what we now know to be an Elder artifact to Shady.
Is it an Elder artifact though in Old School? Has that been established? Like, I looked at the lore page for Temple of Ikov and the Staff of Armadillo in Old School, and I'm fairly certain that it has not been established to be an Elder artifact here.
All right.
But I mean, obviously, there's that idea that they could be, and you know, I didn't even see a list of Elder artifacts on the Old School wiki. Obviously, you know, big important ones like the Stone of Jazz and whatnot. But it was just fun doing that, and kind of it really once makes me want to see where things are going to go with this. And I think it's at this point in the podcast, it's good to mention that everything from the Winter Summit actually passed, including Defender of Varrock and While Guthix Sleeps. So you know what we're doing then?
What are we doing?
We're training up to be able to do Defender of Varrock and While Guthix Sleeps on release week.
While Guthix Sleeps on release week. Okay, that's ambitious, but okay.
No, it's happening.
Okay.
I mean, come on. It's 67 magic, which is doable. 66 agility, which I plan to have 99 by then. 65 herb lore, 62 hunter, and 72 thieving. The 72 thieving will be the difficult one. And no, I don't.
Yeah, that's the one that worries me.
99
that's
agility
the one
by
that
then.
worries me.
But we have until the summer.
Well, that's good.
So, I want to do that quest on release week. I did it on release week when it first came out. I want to do it on release week again.
All right.
Throwing down the challenge.
Evidently.
Yep. Anything else that we should talk about before we go? Because I think I'm pretty much done.
We could talk about our next goals. I think you know.
Well, I just said what my next goals are.
Okay, sure, fine.
Quest requirements in line of While Guthix Sleeps.
Gotcha.
and other things along the way. But yeah, we've been looking at our quest list, and we're honestly at the point now where there's so many quests that are unlocked. It's just a question of actually doing them, and a lot of the requirements that still need to be done are just things that will be unlocked, like for example when we go for Legends quest or when we go for any of the other master quests that are out there. So but
yep,
that's what I'm content with saying for my next goals. I don't know if you want to say something different.
Yeah, I need to grind out more graceful. Yeah. 70 ranged is my big combat goal. I want to get Blessed Dragonhide. That's going to be a big upgrade.
And that opens up the fight caves.
Which opens up the fight caves for the fire cape for melee, which is going to be a big deal. Yeah, I think, Legends Quest, indeed, and Recipe for Disaster is another one.
Yeah, those are big ones. Another thing on my radar, and you recoil at this idea, is the Mage Training Arena in the Wilderness, because of that it has a very good magic cape behind it.
Yeah, best in slot Mage Cape. Best in slot Mage Cape. Well, Mage Arena 2 gives the best in slot Mage Cape.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be realistic here.
Yeah, that's 75 Mage, so that's a while off for sure.
But that's where we're at, and this gives the listeners an idea of where we are in our journey. Hopefully, our discussions about Scurrius have been useful to you. Let us know how you guys are interacting with him, because I'd imagine we have some people who are higher level combat than us who are listening to this, and how it's been for you, and if you want to see more content like that, because I always feel like whenever Old School puts out an original piece of content, it's just so incredibly well designed, and that's one of the things that in addition to the quest, that actually drew me to Old School to begin with. So just so happy to be able to talk about things like this when they arrive. But do you have anything else for this week?
Nope.
Alrighty then. Well, listeners, if you want the podcast delivered automatically to you, the best way to do that is to subscribe. Visit update.show/OS, and you can subscribe on any number of the podcast listeners that are out there. Just click on the badges on the episodes. We're on Apple, Google, Pocket Cast, Spotify, and more, as well as on YouTube at youtube.com/OSRS Update. Do like and subscribe there. Greatly helps the channel out. But with that being said, we'll be back next week for another episode of the Old School RuneScape Update. See you then, everybody. Take care.